ultimately came to the decision.
Sure.
I guess I guess elaborate a little bit more about what you guys are getting in Coach.
Well, I think number one, we're getting a tremendous person, as I've said that before, but also a tremendous recruiter, a person that can player develop, and I think that's important at this level. We're not going out and recruiting one and done guys. We'd love to get guys that could come here and go directly to the NBA, but that's not what we're going to do. So we're going to have a guy and a coaching staff that's going to take a person from where they are and where they go. Now, we all know you got to recruit great players, but at our level, we can take great players and hopefully make them even better. And so that was an important part. Cultural fit into Ruston and this community is important. Likability, having a high motor, a person that really is self-motivated into doing what he needs to do. And then style of play. I mean, we've not to say that we're going to play always exactly the same style, but we want to play fast and we want to play in-your-face defense. And that was something that we went out early. And we gave the coaches that we interviewed the opportunity to make maybe an argument against it. But by and large, with the success we've had, there's a reason we've had that. We can recruit that type of player, and we want to continue to do that. So couldn't be more pleased with Coach Konkol and his abilities and what he brings to the table. So,
who are some of the biggest names that gave positive feedback on the hire?
Sure. Well, I think it's a diverse group. I mean, there's been several athletic directors. I think that's important is, it's one thing for a coach to recommend another coach and not to say that it's a fraternity, but sometimes there's that. But the AD at Miami just had tremendous praise of him. He sent me a text right before we started and just talked about how ready he is for this opportunity. And a part of that is not only in Eric's preparation, but also in Coach Larenega's ability to allow his staff to assume duties and prepare themselves. Previous AD at Miami, who's now at Nebraska, has said wonderful things about him. But Brad Stevens thinks highly of him. Obviously, I think probably the biggest thing is Shane Larkin. His text to him saying how you improved me, how you made me a better person, how you made me a better basketball person, how you recruited me, how you believed in me. And I think those are important things as we look into coach. So obviously, what people say about a coach is important. So certainly we want to hear those things, but certainly hearing it for yourself, seeing that coach, being in his presence, understanding his vision, understanding his experiences, and his ability to provide leadership, and that's what we saw when we interviewed Coach Konkol.
With the time crunch, of course, of last week, you were at Conference USA meetings. How important was the search firm with that and helping you with the vetting process?
It was tremendously important, and I think for me, it had to do with the fact that we have a national high-profile job, and I think that in order to truly say, hey, we did everything we could to provide a pool of candidates here to look at, we had to hire a search firm. Look, people hire search firms all the time, so this is part of the business, and it allowed, number one, it did allow, those initial phone calls, people bombarding you, hey, I want to get my guy involved, or I want to be interested. You're able to delegate those things to the search firm initially to get that wave of, because literally people will call you. I got a call from Nick Saban. Everybody in the world calls you about these jobs, and that allows you to put that into a filtered process. It doesn't mean that they're making decisions. It means that they're handling those inbound calls and then having a chance to debrief me later on those things, allowing me the opportunity to be at important meetings like Conference USA. But still, even being down there, I'm getting pulled out of meetings because this job is important. I made this comment to the athletics council earlier. Every single night that I was down in Destin, I put my wife and kids to bed, kissed them on their foreheads, said, see you in the morning, left. It's a convention center, went to the convention center, went to the very back of the convention center. I can show you the couch, moved 2 chairs, plugged my iPhone in and put my earbuds in and start talking to references and phone calls and having conversations till 12:30, 1 in the morning. The same janitor vacuumed that carpet 3 nights in a row. He would look at me and I'd look at him, and I know we both thought we were crazy. I gave Dr. Geis a recommendation on that janitor, by the way, because he was phenomenal at cleaning carpets. But that's the point, is it's just, I'm running on caffeine at this point. You're locked in. It's important. It's the most important thing that as an athletic director you do is hire people. It doesn't matter if it's the head basketball coach or the director of marketing. Your human resource, the people that are going to influence your student athletes, are very important. So this is an important hire. Hiring a search firm, I believe, helped us in that process.
In that process, how early did Eric's name come up, and when did he become a favorite?
Sure. As said, he was on the initial list of large candidates, and then as we begin to go through the deal, people begin to bring his name up. So it was a process in which other people, as you calling people that you trust in the business, or the search firm is calling their contacts, his name would come up. I did not know, I've not heard of him, I did not know him prior to this process. And so it was something for me that I had to really dive into him to say, okay, who is this guy? What do we know about him? And then as you continue to go down that path, you learn more and more about a person. And as we learn more about him, the more I begin to like him, the more I begin to experience him. So, and it doesn't mean that we want to hire him initially. We want to get him to the process. We want to get him into this pool. We want to have the opportunity to interview him and share his vision. And so that's kind of how that happened and how we went about it.
Would it be fair to say that the search firm found him then?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, they were the ones that initially had his name on the list. So, but I do think that at some point probably his name would have come up because there were people calling me outside of the search firm saying, hey, have you heard about this guy at the University of Miami? I think he's ready for a next step. So you take his name and call the search firm, yeah, we already have him on the list. So at that point, who found him, who brought him to the table doesn't matter. Now it's about the vetting process.
Now I know that you made comments about the job being significantly more high profile than it was 4 years ago, and that a splash hire was kind of wanted. You wanted to reel in a big fish. Not saying anything,
Sure.
but assistant coaches.
Yeah. So first of all, I never said that. I never said that I wanted a big fish. I said we're going to make the right hire. We're going to do a national search, and we're going to hire the right person to lead us to another level, a national program. And so the fact is, it doesn't matter. You can go back and look. Virginia Commonwealth hires assistant coach, then turns around and hires another assistant coach, then hires a head coach. I mean, and these are great programs. Butler has promoted 4 times within, and so there's no formula. There's no saying, well, this is exactly how success happens. There's places where it's external and it's a head coach. There's places where it's internal. And believe me, I looked at the research to try to find it. It's an art. You try to put some level of science matrix to it, which is why we create some guiding principles. But at the end of the day, it's a feeling. Well, who fits with us? I mean, quite frankly, there's great coaches out there that I don't think would fit here in Ruston because they're just not. They just don't maybe have the same values, or that maybe the style of play is different. And so for us, it's about what does our profile look like, and then let's drive in home from there.
He's a young coach, and we kind of saw that 4 years ago with Mike.
Sure.
Was that what you were looking for, someone who could fit that mold?
No, I mean, I was open to everything. We looked at some really seasoned coaches. I mean, there were some coaches that have tremendous amounts of wins, and head coaches and head coaching experience, a current assistant coach, all the different dynamics. As you get into assistant coaches, being a young assistant coach, if a guy has been an assistant coach for 35, 40 years, the assistant coaches usually typically rise to the top, but the cream rises to the top. And so, hey, if I'm a young rising star, those guys typically kind of elevate, just like Mike did. I mean, Mike wasn't going to be an assistant coach much longer than he was. We were fortunate enough to hire him. I believe the same thing about Eric. Eric was not going to be an assistant coach much more past this year or next, and we had the opportunity to hire him.
You had,